The next presenter is Holst Jensen from Biochemfusion. It's a company focusing on registration and analysis of peptides and proteins.
Thanks a lot, Nora. And I just realized yesterday that this is my 5th anniversary at the ChemAxon UGM. So, sequence or structure? That's the question you may have if you are trying to figure out how to store your macromolecules. And I think Gershwin said it nicely. You say tomato, I say tomato. It's just a different way of representing the same thing. Because if you have small molecules, you may use a connection table. And if you have large molecules, you may say, okay, I'll use sequences. But in a lot of cases, you want to actually use both. Because those compounds in the mid-size range, you may want to look at them either as sequences or as structures. And you may have post-translational or chemical modifications inside your sequence. And you want to see the chemistry of that and be able to search that. And that's what Biochemfusion's Proteax tool does for you. And here's an example where the Proteax for Spreadsheets Excel add-in has been used. I've imported a couple of PubChem structures from an SD file. And as you'll notice, you get something where the actual structure is expressed as a sequence, because Proteax is able to translate a structure into a sequence. And a new thing in the latest version is that you can set editor options, so you can choose either to use a sequence editor or you can use Marvin Sketch. And how does that work? Well, in this case, I think there's something wrong with the first entry. So I press Edit Protein in the Excel add-in, and on the fly, that generates a structure for me and sends that to Marvin Sketch. And I've highlighted the changes that I did. I don't think the tyrosine is a D form, so I changed it back to an L form. And then I added a methylation on a glycine. And then I just press File Save. And then Proteax detects that I pressed File Save in Marvin Sketch, reads the structure, and converts that back into sequence. So now you have a regular tyrosine, and it's found out that I've methylated the glycine. Now, wouldn't it be nice to have that sort of thing directly integrated into Marvin Sketch? So I looked at the calculator services in Marvin Sketch, and I found that it's really, really easy to work with. I spent literally 2 hours a Sunday afternoon and got this working. Made a calculator service that you can integrate. And once you draw something, here's another PubChem structure that I found. And use the calculator service that calculates the sequence from structure. And here's the structure, and there you have the sequence of that structure. Recently, 2 weeks ago, I released Proteax KNIME nodes, where you can work with sequences and structures within KNIME. And it's a free download if you already have Proteax. So here's an example where I've used that together with the Marvin nodes, reading some PubChem structures, converting those to sequence, and then converting that sequence back into a structure. And that's a way of actually cleaning peptide structures from PubChem. This structure down here is the original structure, and it may be kind of hard to figure out what exactly is the sequence. But once you have the cleaned version in a linear fashion, it's easier to figure out what's happening there. Partners, I'm partnering with Arcos in Germany. They're using Proteax as a query tool to query PubChem. So you can just enter a sequence and fire that sequence query off to PubChem, because Proteax can generate a structure for you. And I'll leave you with some links for if you want to try it out. Download directly from Biochemfusion. You can try it out on the web with iScience search. And you can also talk to Sysment, which is using Biochemfusion Proteax to enable sequence and structure editing in their reaction planner. And finally, if you want to come by the booth and leave your business card, there'll be a raffle at 4 o'clock for this Raspberry Pi server. It's a dirt cheap server, but it's enough to run a Proteax biologics registration system that can do protein SAR tables and so on. So come out to the booth, have a look at it. Thank you.